What's up guys, welcome back to WBC Builds. So today I have for you a fantastic Victorian townhouse tutorial. So this video has come about due to the fact that I built this townhouse, which we'll be doing in a bit, on my world of Walhampton, and I posted it on Twitter the other day and asked my audience to go, okay, do you want a tutorial on this? Retweet this post, and they did, and it was about 19 people retweeted it, so I went, that's probably enough to actually warrant making this video. So we're not going to take too long to get into it. I just wanted to show you the basic outline of what we're going to start with. So the building itself is 10 blocks wide. This is great when you want to stack it along a road. Won't take up too much frontage of the street, but you can pack quite a bit of detail into it. The sides are 15 back on the long side, 11 on the short side. I've also included a little plot at the back for a garden, because these townhouses always look better when there's, well, especially because of the brick back we're going to be using. They need some greenery to really help set it off. You may notice the different coloured walls there. So the front wall, the cyan wall, is there to denote the area, which is the bit at the front that leads down to the basement. You've then got the blue wall and the green wall at the front there as well. The blue wall is to show where we're going to be doing the quartz blocks and the main frontage of the house, and the green wall is to show the windows, and then the pink is to show the back of the house where it's going to be built out of normal red brick. But we will get on to that in a second. Let me just show you a few of the blocks we're going to be working with here. So we got diorite, andesite. No, it is diorite. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, yeah, we got stone and stone slabs, stone brick stairs, all the stone bricks, quartzes, all of the quartzes. Now, quartz is going to be a key component to this. And then the main article that makes this build a little bit different is the fact I'm using birch to simulate yellow bricks. And then for the floor on the inside, we're going to have this dark oak. So for the rest of the building, we've got the middle floor here. So this is the, I guess, first floor we would call it in the UK, and then we also have the second floor, and there'll be a roof on top. You can continue to add extra floors to this building if you require. Coming over here, I'm just going to give you a little taste of what the windows look like. So this is the ground floor window. You've got this nice rusticated pattern going on here, using the quartz stairs stacked on top of each other. For the first floor window, we've got this, and you can see here the birch is going to be made to look like bricks. And then this is the upper floor with the cornice at the top here. And I just did a little model next to it so you get an idea of the height of it. This is the basement level up here. We then have the ground floor, the entrance level, and then we have the upper floors here, which are similar sort of size. I haven't included the roof on that. So here is the roof. You may think, well, this looks like it's broken in half, but that's because it's called a channel roof, very popular in the Georgian period, and it would be made of slate and quite shallow. Massive flooding problems down to here, but it works well for our build. So without further ado, let's jump in to the first part of the build. Okay, we're going to start with the basement then. Let's just clear this little bit out here. I'm not going to actually completely do the inside of this house either. That's not what I do. I tend to do the exteriors only mainly. So first of all, you want to fill up the the actual wall with smooth quartz. Smooth quartz works so much better for building walls than like blocks of quartz does, because I just don't like blocks of quartz. They look too plasticky. So I'm just using some World Edit to help me speed along a lot of the processes in here. Don't worry if you don't have World Edit, you can do all of this by hand. So what I'm doing there is I'm using a command to help populate the wall with both stone and some andesite, and it just helps give a little bit of a texture to the wall for when we, are looking down into the area. You may notice on the ground there I have bedrock. That's obviously because this is the bottom of the world. In your build, you can always have it as something different, like that. There we go. So we can change that up. So now onto the first window. It's just a simple 2-high window with some quartz surrounds. That's obviously the nether regions down there. So I'm just going to block it up like that, just to keep it looking nice. And then what we want to do is over here put in a space for a door. So again, we'll block it up like that and stick a door in there. So that's the basement pretty much done. I know that's Wow, it's just like, that's so simple. Yeah, and it is, and I need to get in there to put the door in. There we go. So that is the basement pretty much there, building wise. What we do need to do is add a stairway up to the ground level. Let me just grab some stairs from over here. So you can always dig your basement out at a different level if you wish, but I tend to do it about 4 blocks deep. It just works quite nicely. We'll come back and finish off the detailing around this part later on. Okay, on to the actual main ground floor. So what we're going to want to do for this is start off by removing this layer here. I do kind of want to keep where the green is, just so I can remember where all the doors are going to be. I want to grab out some quartz blocks this time. So I was saying earlier on, I don't really use quartz blocks, but for this it works well. Adds a sort of, I don't know, a defining feature across the bottom here. Let's just fill out that. So for the first window, we want to go like that. Actually, we want to do it upside down because we need the walls like this. In order to sort of give you a nice impression of moulding around the windows, you turn the stairs 90 degrees to what they were, and you get this nice flush effect here. We'll do the same on this side. Like so. Leaving a gap here for the door, so the door isn't in the same position as it is down there. And we have our first bit there. What I have noticed actually is I've done the floor level in here 1 block too low. So if you are using world edits, you can obviously just move that up by 1. Okay, back to the front now. And you want to put some glass in here. What you can also do is, if you want a bit more depth to the window, you can add a wall behind, and you can make it into a double thick skinned wall. That works quite well sometimes if you wish to have a bit more depth to a window. Okay, so up here we want one higher. Actually, I've done that wrong. Also, this gives you the fact that the window actually fixes on to the back of the stairs, so it's 3 blocks high. You can also put a stair out like that to give a little bit of a window ledge. So across the top of the window here, we need to put in our layer of smooth quartz again, building up that around the front of the door. So doorway, it's going to sit there. We're going to have like a little walkway up to it using stone slabs, just to give you a bit more of a depth. So that brings that down to ground level now. We come around under here, we can always do this as well and just detail it off like that. So I like to use dark oak doors for a lot of my Georgian builds or Victorian builds, and this is just because they have the nice paneling on them, which makes them look like a door during that time period. Okay, so you see like a little window up the top here. We're going to put in a piece of glass. I use grey stained glass for that, and that acts as what's known as a fan light above a door. You can have it however you wish. I like to just do it like that. It doesn't need to be overly detailed or anything like that. So there we are. That's the ground floor very much there. So moving on up to the putting in the cornice now for the actual where the anvils are going to sit, and they will form a railing across the top. So what I'm going to do now is quickly just fill up the back of the house so I can show you guys what that's going to look like. Right, so we come around to the back of the house, just adding in the doorway here. Above that, on the second level, there will be a window as well. What I have done is I use stone as like a little, I guess, damp course or something like that to run around the bottom like this. So with world edit, I'm just going to go over there and fill that in. So we're going to carry on, and I'll jump back into it when we have the whole building done. Okay, so we're standing here in the garden now. I will detail that later on once we've got the whole house done. As you can see here, I've added a large window directly behind the front window, 3 blocks high, upside down stairs made of brick, and upside down birch stairs here just to act as a window ledge. And on the side, very same, just a 3 high window, 1 block wide, and the same detailing around there. So that's the ground floor done. We can tick that one off. It's now time to move on to the second floor, or the first floor. Right, to start off this first floor, I'm going to put some anvils down. That acts as a nice railing, which, you know, I don't like the metal rails you get in Minecraft. I prefer using anvils for that. So what we want to do is put these 2 little blocks here, diorite and then birch. This just is a nice little stopper, so between each building there's going to be one of those, so it doesn't, you can't just walk along the balcony into each house. So we're coming now onto the main article itself, the actual bricks coming in. So again, I'm using birch for these because birch it has got this nice London yellow brick feel to it, which unfortunately I don't think end stone ever does. That's correct, like that. So what this looks different this side due to the fact that there's going to be this stacked next to it. So there's, yeah, it doubles up on this wall and it helps just space the buildings better when you stack it. I'll show you that at the end. So we're going to need 3 blocks wide in between the windows. The windows are 2 blocks wide. Underneath, just going to stick in some more of these bricks to act as just the walking bit. The floor. I don't know what I'm even saying half the time. Building up the walls, we're using 1, 2, 3, 4. So the windows themselves are 4 blocks high. The first 2 levels are going to be left blank. That's because these are French windows and they allow you to walk, out onto the balcony. Big, large sash windows like this are common to have as French windows at the time. So I think this building itself is placed in the the late Georgian period to the early Victorian period, which is a theme that I love building at the second. So with that, we've got the 2 details above the windows there, and the build's starting to come to life quite nicely. So around above this, we just add another level of brick. So we've now got a total of 6 blocks of bricks there. One last piece here just to finish off these windows, putting in a smooth quartz slab, and that finishes off the hood above the window. There we are. So the first floor is now done in the front. Just going to carry on the back as we had before. You put a floor in at this level, so don't know why we put in the quartz there. I've just knocked out another block. I'm quite clumsy when it comes to building. It's not like I don't know what I'm doing, it's more I just misclick a lot. So I'm going to jump and we'll get back to this floor being complete. So I should just mention, if you do want to build your walls like this with a bit of granite in them, this is the command that I use myself to do it. So it's set, and then you can type 45 for bricks, because I'm still old school Minecrafter, as in I don't know the newfangled words for it, even though I think just type in bricks. And then you do space, well, you space it with a comma, and that gives you the chance to add a second block into the mix. You can do this multiple times with many blocks, and then you just press enter, and it gives you a randomized selection of blocks. And I use granite because I like the colors it matches with the brick, but other people I've seen use terracotta and anything you want. So don't just do granite if you don't like the color of it. Feel free to put in whatever color you want. Right, there we are. We're looking now at a 2-story townhouse, but we need to make it into a, we're looking at a normal 2 up, 2 down townhouse, but now we want to make it into a 2-story townhouse, and that's where the second floor comes into play. Following the same principle, the main blocks here are birch, and we need to go up 1 more block here just to add in the windowsill for the upper levels. These windows are going to be 2 blocks by 2 blocks, and that's very common of the style, to have the upper levels with smaller windows. So you tend to have the larger, taller windows on your main party floor, as in the main reception room floors. This is to allow extra light to come in, also because the ceiling's usually higher. But the upper levels are mainly bedrooms, and you tend to keep, either that's your staff bedroom or a family member's bedroom who isn't the owner of the house. On top of those windows, an upside down stair, as we've done down here. That just adds a nice little finishing touch to it. Above all of this, we're going to add 1 more layer of smooth quartz, and this forms, I think it's known as a frieze, or I'm very, very bad with Latin or Italian words. And then above that, it's time to put in the cornice. So 1 more level of smooth quartz, and then smooth quartz stairs to act as the cornice. So that's the main front of the house done. we have got something different now to do around the back. As you can see over here on the floor plan, the back no longer has this section, so we're going to have to build like a little roof on this bit. So at this point here, it all cuts off like that, and we need to add a flat roof or a small little roof to that. So I'm going to get on to, I'll jump over to when that's done. Okay, there's the flat roof on now. So it starts off at 2 blocks here, just to add a little bit of a slightly smaller gradient, and then it goes up with slabs all the way up to the finished level. At this point, I'm going to add another window in here. So we need to put in the floor for this level. And I just want to say this is a sort of one of my first tutorials where I'm building and talking. I usually do them in post. I didn't really like that format because doing it in post you don't get a chance to really explain what you're doing. You have to counteractive, go, oh right, so I did that next and I did that. You have to try and remember in the past. But for this, it's nice and easy because you're sort of just building and going, as long as I know what I'm meant to be building. Otherwise, it's a sort of stand here and go, what's that meant to be? So window at the back here, again, it's going to be 2 blocks high to match that one over there. There's no room above this roof for another window there, so we'll leave that side. And that is that built up like that. So I'm going to jump to when the rest of the walls are done, and then we're going to start on the main roof. Okay, so the building's now done in its entirety around the sides and the front. It's time to move on to the roof. So I've started up here the layout of how we want the roof to go. So these diorite blocks are acting as a little finishing touch that goes around like that. This one doesn't, because when you stack it across, this wall is where this where that one will end up, like that. So it's a slightly off-centered one, and again, this is all due to the fact that you need to stack it to make it look good. So having one doesn't really work. The actual main roof itself will be made from stone brick slabs. You can see here we're starting off on the quartz rather than a block of this, and that's because at this height it actually breaks out into the front of the building, and we don't really want to do that. It doesn't look right, and you can get away with it by hiding it behind here. I like using slabs as roofing material, mainly because I don't know, they just look better. The gradients are better for when you want to do a slate roof. If you want to do a really high pitched sort of wooden roof or a tiled roof, it's okay to use stairs. I have used stairs in the past for my builds, but when it comes to builds like this, you tend to just do it like that. So we need to bring that in one like that, so the roof doesn't sit directly on the back. It can do, but for this, just to keep the style the same across the whole thing, we do it like that. So I'm going to jump to having the other side done, and then we'll put the chimneys in and stack this building around. Okay, so we're back now with the roof done. Like I said, it does look a bit lopsided, but I'll show you how that works in a second. So putting chimneys in, we're going to go for the birch again, 2 wide with a anvil on top. You can always go for something different on top if you don't want to use anvils. And if you try to build this in survival as well, anvils can be quite difficult to do. But because we're doing this in creative, and I think anvils just make a nice chimney pot. So there we have the building complete. And I'm just going to move around some of this stuff, and we'll stack it along, get the garden done, and have a little wander around, and there. But that's pretty much the entirety of the building. So feel free to give it a go and give your own little personalities to it. There's a lot of scope to build quite nice rooms inside, and like I said, you've got this basement down the front here. You can always do something more with that. So yeah, I'm going to jump into like a little cinematic time-lapse thing of me doing the gardens and stacking this around. Well, there we have it. So this is now a row of 6 houses, and they just look great, don't they? They do work together really nicely. Ignore the gubbins over the side there, and also that build in the distance. So coming up and looking at the roof, this is exactly what I was trying to get across. The fact that when you stack it, you end up with the ridge in between the buildings, and you've got the chimneys there on top like that. Having a look around at the gardens, the little bit of greenery really does help break up that brick quite well. So this has been a little tutorial. I've enjoyed doing it. Let me know in the comments below if there is anything else you have seen on my channel that you wish for me to build. If not, I'll sort of keep doing this idea of I build something, I go on Twitter, I say, do you want to see a tutorial? People go, yeah, why not? So you'll see a few more of these in the future. But anyway guys, thank you for watching. This has been my Victorian Townhouse tutorial, and I will see you next time.